I never think, I never know. I'm stuck and left alone. I've been lost, I've been fine. My cause is not defined. Won't you kiss me? Won't you play? Won't you draw me? Ain't no way I could deny you, I could try. Won't you kiss me? Ain't no way. Want you, want you. Come and try me now, sorry. Come and try me now. I never think, I never know. I'm stuck and left alone. I've been lost, I've been fine. My cause is not defined. Won't you kiss me? Won't you play? Won't you try me? Ain't no way I could deny you, I could try. Will you kiss me? Ain't no way. I know that left alone. I never think, I never know. I'm stuck and left alone. I've been lost, I've been fine. My cause is not defined. Won't you kiss me? Won't you play? Won't you try me? Ain't no way I could deny you, I could try. Will you kiss me? Ain't no way. Want you, want you. Come and try me now, sorry. Want you, come and try me now. I know that I never think, I never know. I'm stuck and left alone. I've been lost, I've been fine. My cause is not defined. Won't you kiss me? Won't you play? Won't you try me? Ain't no way I could deny you, I could try. Will you kiss me? Ain't no way. I know that left alone. Left alone, left alone. What's going down? What's going on? How's everybody doing? How's everybody doing? Salute to the nation. Salute to the black nobility. Ebon Noblesse. What is going on? Welcome to the 1/3 show. It is just DeAndre here in the building. And I'd like to say a shout out to everybody that's in the chat that was here early. On point, Simply Neek, Yerb, Hotep, O'Shea. You know, says salute to our esteemed sister Callie Jane. Give a woo in the chat for Charles Faulkner. What's going on? No negotiating with terrorists. Today we're going to be talking about, of course, what's going on in the news. And what's going on in the news? We know what's going on in the news, so let's get into it. Last week, our nation was under siege and under attack by a mob. The mob was a total ruckus. They ran. Oh, what's going on? Hey, how you doing, Auntie? How you been? Hope everything's all right. I know you over there in the DC area. The white folk acting a fool. We gonna start talking about all that real quick, like. So, and please check out a viewer's view. Oh man, she's like them aunties from around the way because she's around from my way. But we're gonna talk about these thugs. Oh yeah, they was cutting up. We're going to talk about these thugs, these people that ran up in the White House. I mean, well, not the White House, the Senate, right? They ran into the Senate while people were conducting business. And we all know the writings on the wall. It's obvious is that if it were people of melanated complexion, hell, I remember Occupy Wall Street when they was breaking them up, you know? So it was these special individuals that were the echo chamber to, I'm not even going to call him, well, he is the president of the United States, sadly enough, but I'm going to just call him Petty 4-5. Petty 4-5. We're going to call him Petty 4-5. So Petty 4-5 got the members of his constituency together and they did a rally. And we all know what the outcome was, where people had to hunker down. Our representatives, our senators, the people that we vote for through this democracy, in what they would call a democracy in our legislation, in our way of how we put people, in office to represent our best interests. Now we live in a country of majority rule, and the majority ruled by 7 million votes. And with the electoral college of 270 electors, that President-elect Biden and Kamala Harris should take over the reins of power in the White House with a peaceful transition. Just like 4 years prior when Donald Trump won his 270 electorates. And our president at the time, the 44th president of the United States, Barack Obama, peacefully, after his 8 years in office, 2 terms, winning both the electoral college and the popular vote, peacefully transitioned over the reins of power, where the Senate held the majority. The Republican Senate held the majority. Now, the Republican Senate, the Republicans still could have held the majority in the Senate if Petty 4-5 did not decide to enact what he enacted. Now, the Democrats have the House, have the majority in the House, and they have a slim majority in the Senate. And what does that mean? What that means is that because the Vice President of the United States is the President of the Senate, and she is a Democrat, and then the Democrats, not we, but the Democrats took the last 2 seats in the House that were up for grabs with one
stand-in Republican senator because she took over after her husband and another long-standing Republican, which was the first time in the history of the state of Georgia that we had a Democrat senator. What that means, especially a black one, right? What that means is that now the Democrats can push through whatever they want with the president, with the vice president, in both houses, right? So what happens? Well, insurrection happens, right? Then you throw on the whole we want the 2K stimulus package that their party, Mitch McConnell was from the Republican Party with Donald Trump, denied, even though Donald Trump backed the 2K. So you put this all in a ball with a rally on the day of the voting to certify the electorates with Ted Cruz and his minions up there backing the unfounded claims by Petty in Chief. And you have a flashpan fire. But all of this just couldn't happen by itself. Now, could it? There had to be some other things going on. Because strangely enough, in the Capitol that day, the police presence was thin, razor thin. They were undermanned. Undermanned. You're having a march, a rally with the president of the United States just blocks away from the Senate. DC is not a big city. It's not really as big as you think it is. So you're telling me that the president of the United States is out of the White House, down there amongst the people, and your security detail is that lax? Then if you don't believe me, this has happened before. And the reason why I say this is a failed Italian job, right? If everybody's ever seen the movie The Italian Job, for you to perfectly pull off a perfect heist, you have to have an inside man. See, what people don't realize is that most successful robberies in a secure location is done from the inside. And the higher level that the person that's on the inside is, the more smooth and more easy everything can go for you to do said heist. Now, this was a precursor because we know about what happened in Michigan. We know about what happened in Oregon, right? But those people, even with their guns, even when they marched on the State House in Michigan, they didn't tear anything up. They didn't beat down the doors. They walked in with their guns. They were welcome in. They walked in. They knew the security was there or whatever. Even as off-putting as it was, they didn't do this. So the people in Michigan, as much as I might not agree with their politics, they had more respect for the State House than the highest form of government that we have in the United States of America, which is the Senate. Speaking as an American, speaking as a black man that is an American, this is off-putting. Now, we know the writing on the wall. We can all make the comparisons to Black Lives Matter and so forth. But hey, let's just talk about the obvious. This was a failed inside job. Now, let me show you the precursor to this, because the precursors are something that we need to talk about. And when I mean the precursors is something that we need to talk about, it's something that we need to clue on. So let's roll this beautiful bean footage, as our esteemed Char Willie likes to say. As our esteemed Char Willie likes to say, let's roll that beautiful bean footage, right? So here we go.
Shocking video from that protest in Salem late last month. This reveals a member of the Oregon House opening the door, which then let protesters into the building. Our Dan.
Hold on one second. Let's get this bean footage going. Let's get this bean footage going. Okay. So, share. There we go. Share that.
Obtain that
Okay, that's not working.
video. He joins us now with more. Dan?
So this is the surveillance video right here. It shows the moments inside the Oregon State Capitol right after a right-wing rioter.
Now you see this right here. This is Oregon State, right? Now we all know about Oregon. They had their protests going and stuff with the Black Lives Matter thing and Occupy. They had this zone where the police couldn't go and stuff like that and not be there and whatever. And people don't understand this thing, right? Because they have this defund the police thing and so forth and so have you. And my thing is this: we're in a state of this country where you need a police presence. We're used to it. It's there. You need police officers. I live in a country where there's a police officer patrolling on a moped, a bike, a car, pretty much every 5 to 10 minutes. Now, the crime rate is low here, right? The police are not heavy-handed, right? If a police officer does something wrong, he goes to regular people jail. They are swift with their justice. Japan has an 85 to 87 conviction rate. Now, when said all of that, we need a police presence. But what we're saying is hold the police accountable like you would do a regular citizen. That's all we're saying, especially when it comes to black people. Okay? So anyway, let's continue, shall we?
Broke in and took over. Remember, this happened just before Christmas during a demonstration demanding the governor lift coronavirus restrictions. The crew is right there. See that man right there? That is the Republican representative, Mike Meerman, opening the door, allowing the crowd to get in.
Whoa. Hold up. Are y'all seeing what I'm seeing right here? Are you guys seeing what I just saw? Let's bring that back a little bit. Now, this is in Oregon, right? Now, before you do something, you have to test it, right? You don't just go and do a plan and then test it for the first time on a big stage. You have to have a test. You have to see where your soft targets are, right? This Republican, if you look at him, well, let's just say this representative, regardless if he's a Republican or a Democrat or independent, it doesn't matter. This person that holds a seat in the state to be a representative, look at this. Look at what he did. He walks out of a back door, right? This is a soft place. Now, if anybody understands how buildings work, and if you worked in your job, when you go out the back door, you ain't trying to be seen, right? Now, luckily, the security footage is right here, right? Now, this is a fire alarm, right? This is a fire alarm right here. Right? So this is a egress exit. This is when you're getting out of the building, and if the fire alarm hasn't been pulled, you pull this on the way to safety. So he literally, now this is 3 layers. This is the outside, right? So you'll watch how he opened the door. He made sure this door was open, but he tried to do it nonchalantly. This is not a normal entry and exit way. This is not normal. You don't normally come in and out of this place. If that was the case, they would have a security person right here. So look at this.
That is the Republican representative, Mike Meerman, opening the door, allowing the crowd to get in. The Oregon State Police confirms they're investigating Meerman. The Speaker of the House says she and others are looking at possible penalties as well, and that could include.
Now look at this. There's a door here. There's a door here. There's a door here. You notice how these officers rushed when there was a breach. They got riot gear. They got everything. They rushed to the breach. So that means, now this is in Oregon, right? Now this is right before Christmas. And this is because people just, the coronavirus thing, right? They wanted to go out because of the coronavirus thing, because of the state restrictions. I don't think that's the case. That's what they tell you, but that's not what actually happened. Right? That's not actually what happened. That's the narrative that they're pushing. See, the thing in Michigan was the same thing. See, they see how far they can go with bringing firearms into a government facility. Then they get closer and closer and closer. You disarm, right? The links to the videos and stuff is in the chat. I mean, in the description. And they disarm. You feel what I'm saying? So now we're going to move on to something. We're going to move on to another piece of video, right? We're going to move on to another piece of video. Okay. Now, yes, the commander in chief did what he did, or the president of the United States did what he did. But what I would like to bring up is now Congress is looking into investigating law enforcement's handling of a deadly Capitol breach. So let's bring up another piece of video, right? And these all the links that I'm bringing up, all the links that I'm talking about, articles and things of that nature, they're going to be in the description box below. Okay, so
at the Capitol. They include one man seen lounging with his feet on a desk in Speaker Nancy Pelosi's office. Another was seen smiling while holding the speaker's lectern, kind of waving to the camera. Tonight, one man, Larry Brock Jr., a retired Air Force lieutenant colonel, confirmed to the New Yorker magazine that he was the guy in this picture, the one wearing the combat helmet and the body armor while carrying zip ties. We have yet to see if he will face charges. This attack left...
Now, he's a retired Air Force captain. How much you best believe, right? Because if you've noticed, the lady that got shot, she was in the Air Force, right? He's a retired Air Force captain. She was an officer in the Air Force. A lot of these high-ranking military people, retired or in special forces, was at this mob, at this situation, at this event, and they were the ones breaching. So they were leading the actual charge because they had access or knew people that had access to the layout of the said Capitol building. And here's another thing that I want you guys to understand. Whenever you go to an embassy, no matter where you at in the world, if you travel, the U.S. Embassy, no matter if you're in D.C., if you know about D.C., when the president leaves the White House, there's a Marine contingency station there. When you walk near the Pentagon, there's a Marine contingency station there. When you go to the House of Representatives, when you go to the Senate, there's a Marine contingency station there. Where were the Marine contingency that's supposed to be there? Where were the Army that's supposed to be there? There's always armed forces stationed at these Capitol buildings. Where were they? They are nowhere to be found. And the reason why they're nowhere to be found, because it's in their general orders that if this was to happen, they were to go in hot. And hot means they're supposed to lay down live rounds because they're being overrun. This is no longer a riot. They're being overrun, just like what happened in Benghazi. Remember with the whole thing? Lock her up. Lock her up. That's what they were spewing. Lock Hillary Clinton up with some emails when 4 or 5 people died in the embassy in Libya, in Benghazi, when they were overthrowing Gaddafi. Lock her up, right? Right? This happened. The U.S. embassy was overrun in another country on foreign soil, but you're letting these people overrun a U.S. Remember, the District of Columbia itself belongs to the United States government. People don't realize and understand that. This is we're going back to social, we're going back to civics. Everybody had, if they got if you have a high school diploma in your state, you have to pass a citizenship test to get a high school diploma after 92 at a bare minimum. This is a retired Air Force high-ranking officer. So of course he would have access with his buddies that he was in the Air Force with. Most of the people that do most of the paperwork that have the highest security clearances per forces is the Air Force and the Navy guys. They're the clerks. They're moving the paperwork. They're doing the logistics. They're doing the intel. They're working for 5 stars. They're working for 3 stars. And I'm talking about admirals, generals. They're working with senators and representatives. But let's keep playing.
5 people dead, including Capitol Police Officer Brian Sicknick. Officials say he died from injuries sustained while tussling with protesters. Why was law enforcement not better prepared for this? How safe is the Capitol 11 days out from the inauguration? Let's discuss it with NBC national security and intelligence correspondent Ken Delanian. Ken, I want to start with a question from one of our viewers who kind of sums it up very well, what a lot of people have been asking for the last few days. Barbara writes, where do we go from here? How can our government know who to trust for security? This is all so terrifying. I can't even believe that this is my country. Ken, I think she hits the nail on the head in a couple ways. 1, it is terrifying. And 2, it raises doubt and concern as to who we can actually trust to protect the government.
It certainly does, Joshua, and I can understand how people could be completely mystified that such a symbol of American democracy as the U.S. Capitol could have been so easily overrun by a violent mob. And there's a simple answer to why this happened and a more complex answer. And the simple answer is basically that the Capitol Police, the force that is paid to protect the Capitol and the lawmakers inside, utterly failed. They didn't do their job. And I don't mean individual officers who behaved heroically, but management. Management assured senior lawmakers that they had things under control, that they had a plan, and it turns out their plan was radically insufficient. They had no crowd control operation to steer people away from the Capitol. They had no riot gear. They were no match for violent protesters, not protesters, rioters who were beating them in the head with lead pipes and spraying them with pepper spray. That's the simple answer. But it goes beyond that, Joshua, because there were threats on social media. We've all seen them now. NBC News has reported extensively. These people were telling the world what they were going to do. And which agency is in charge of dealing with domestic terrorism in the United States? The FBI. So where was the FBI? Why didn't they stop this? Why didn't they disrupt this, what looks like a plot to enter the Capitol? Well, I spoke with...
I want to stop it right there because now we're looking at, okay, so that's a good question. I'm glad he asked that question, right? Now, why didn't the Capitol Police be properly prepared? And I just told you the Marine contingency was missing, right? Now the Capitol Police wasn't prepared. Now, we all saw the thing with the Black Lives Matter protests. They already had the National Guard out there. They had everybody out there. The Capitol Police had their riot gear. We didn't even know who the police was, but now we know it's the Capitol Police, right? So why was it this way? Now, most of the people that were out there protesting during the Black Lives Matter thing, they were white. They were white. And the reason why I'm going to say that they were white, because white people outnumber black folk. White people outnumber black folk. If you go look at those pictures, it was mainly white people that were getting hit in the face with pepper spray, hit in the face with rubber bullets, all this other stuff. So it was black people there, but it was a lot of white folk, a lot of liberal white folk. Because let's be honest with you, right? A lot of black folk gotta go to work. It's coronavirus. There's still the coronavirus going on. People gotta go to work. Look at Charlottesville. When they ran into that crowd of folk, if there was nothing but black folk out there protesting outright that this, and that, then who died? It was a white woman that got killed, ran over by white supremacists. Right? So now we have to look back and look in history. So when Martin Luther King did his march to Washington, when he did his I Have a Dream speech, when he was out there protesting nonviolence and stuff like that, there had to be white people there too, but they just only show the images of black folk because you can't show the images of white folk, because that would say, well, if my own people are saying that these people need to be free, then maybe I need to re-examine myself. But let's get back to what I'm trying to get you to see, right? And you make your own decisions after that. I'm just trying to peel back the onion, and that's what this show is about. Now, we're blaming the Capitol Police. But if we're going to blame the Capitol Police, then lawmakers want accountability. So if we're going to blame the Capitol Police, then here's the problem. Here's the biggest problem that we need to look at, right? The Capitol Police officer that was there, that resigned, that said that these things, like, we weren't, because he was calling for backup. He was calling for backup. He was literally calling for backup. And when I mean he was calling for backup, he was calling for the National Guard, right? And he resigned. He said, I'm out. But he had to be out, right? Because they was going to place the blame on him, because you saw the media already saying they weren't. It was where was the FBI? The FBI can only give a report. People keep forgetting the Federal Bureau of Investigation is actually the armed services of the IRS. Go back in history. The FBI only came about during Prohibition. So the IRS, right? So they can go out and find the gangsters that were bootlegging liquor. If you think of every known gangster, other than the black ones, they all went to jail for money laundering, tax evasion, FBI investigations. Think about it. You have to understand your departments inside the government. ATF, alcohol, tobacco, and firearms. Think about it. Alcohol and tobacco are taxed. And firearms, the sale of firearms, right? Alcohol, tobacco, and firearms. The FBI, Federal Bureau of Investigation, they're investigating you. They have to get warrants and court orders. They have to report to somebody, and someone has to do what? Someone has to give them the okay. But if you're in DC, you cannot have the National Guard show up without an administrative okay. That means that the President of the United States has to okay it. Let's go. Now, this is the news article. It's in the link in the description. Former Capitol Police Chief Stephen Sund's request for the National Guard backup was denied. He says in an interview, former Capitol Police Chief Stephen Sund said he requested that the National Guard be placed on standby in days before the deadly riot at the U.S. Capitol, but House and Senate security officials turned him down. Former Capitol Police Chief Stephen Sund said he requested that the National Guard be placed on the standby in days before the deadly riot at the U.S. Capitol, but House and Senate security officials turned him down. Not the representative, the security officials. Who are the security officials? The security officials are in the Trump administration. Remember, Vice President Pence is the president of the Senate, so he is a part of the Trump administration, in which he is the one that has to okay through the channels that what? That They need to have the National Guard on standby. So that means that there has to be an administrative order to have the National Guard because they only have the rights to do so in the District of Columbia because the overall security of the District of Columbia relies on the administration. Do y'all understand what I'm saying here? Now do you see the bigger problem at point? Son who resigned his post the day after the riot told the Washington Post he had been concerned that the protest plan for January 6th would be larger than expected. Son said he asked the House and Senate security officials for permission to request that the National Guard be placed on standby. Son said the House and the Senate sergeants at arms told him they were not comfortable with the optics of declaring an emergency days before the protest and suggested Son should informally ask guard officials to be on alert. Both have since resigned. So that means that if you already have an answer for a question, that means that it was already sent down the chain of command what was going to happen, and no matter what you could do, you could not fight it back. Son said he pleaded for help for more than help 5 or more times as the riot unfolded. A crowd of several thousand people quickly overran the Capitol Police contingent of 1,400 officers at the scene. If we would have had the National Guard, we would have held them at bay longer until more officers from our partner agencies could arrive. Son said the crowd breached the Capitol just before 2 p.m. and half an hour later, he was on the phone with the Pentagon. He said Son and other Lieutenant General Walter Pat, director of the Army staff, balked at the recommending that his boss, Army Secretary Ron McCarthy, approve the request. Again, the optics were cited. Pat put out a statement that took issue with the account. I did not make the statement or any comments similar to what was attributed to me by Chief Son of the Washington Post article said, but would note that even in his telling, he makes it clear that neither I nor anyone else from the DOD denied the deployment of requests of personnel. Pat, in the end, the National Guard was deployed and set a perimeter to the Capitol. Now, if you think this man is lying, right? If you think this man is lying, we have more evidence. Right? We have more evidence. We have more evidence of what happened. Okay? We have more evidence of what happened. Now, trying to find what happened. Okay, here we go. So, if you think this man is lying, so they tried to lay the feet of the blame at the Capitol Police. Well, that's not right. They tried to lay the fleet and the blame at the FBI. They could only report what was going to happen. Remember, Trump had a FBI investigation into his collusion with Russia. They reported the facts. It was up to Congress to do what? Do the rest, right? Okay, now, let's move on. Let me show you something else. Exactly. That means they did it. That means this was an inside job. We have so much evidence to prove it so, right? Let's connect the dots. Let's connect the dots here. Okay. I want to play this for you guys.
Larry Hogan said President Donald Trump abandoned his oath Wednesday. The president's speech incited what Hogan called a heinous assault on the Capitol by Trump supporters. Hogan today called for the president to step down or be removed.
I think there's no question that America would be better off if the president would resign or be removed from office, and if Mike Pence, Vice President of the United States, would conduct a peaceful transition of power over the next 13 days until President Biden is sworn in.
Hogan today blamed the president's defense secretary for delaying authorization for the Maryland National Guard to respond to Wednesday's attack.
We were repeatedly must receive approval from the Secretary of Defense.
90 minutes later, Hogan said the Secretary of the Army gave the okay, and the Maryland Guard became the first Guard unit to reach D.C. Hogan said he got an urgent call yesterday during the attack from House Majority Leader Steny Hoyer, who was bunkered with House Speaker Nancy Pelosi. Hoyer, the governor, said pushed for Maryland's help, saying Capitol Police were overwhelmed and there was no federal law enforcement presence.
I can't explain. I don't know. I don't think any of our team knows exactly why the U.S. Capitol was not protected and how this treacherous mob was able to break through. All I can tell you is what we did immediately to try to help.
Now, about that governor's complaint that the Secretary of Defense dragged his feet on authorizing the National Guard yesterday, the Pentagon today.
Now, appreciate it, educated areas. Appreciate it. Appreciate it. Thank you very much. So, with this being said, this is the governor, right? So he just told you how things work in the District of Columbia. District of Columbia is a very special place, right? In any other place in America, the mayor can authorize the National Guard or ask for help from the governor. The governor, if the mayor doesn't ask for it, the governor can override it. Think about it. Think about it. When Jacob Blake didn't get the justice that he deserved with charges being brought against the officers, they automatically put a National Guard contingency immediately right after the decision was made. This is a court decision. This isn't a congressional thing of talking about the election that was done fairly. This is something that people should have been angry about because the evidence is clear. The man is paralyzed. The use of force was ridiculous. And the governor, to keep from unrest happening or the potential of unrest, he activated the National Guard. But Governor Hogan could not do it because even though the District of Columbia resides in the state of Maryland, it is its own entity within itself. So that means that you needed who? The Secretary of the Army, that is the what? The security, the top security person over the buildings in the Capitol, works for who? Appointed by who? The Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces, which is who? President Trump. And he could not disobey a lawful order from his commander-in-chief. Do you understand? Do we understand? So this was the inside job. You put the lives. Now remember, black people, white people, we are saying bring the police to justice if they do something wrong. We are not saying for you to send police officers in there with their hands tied behind their backs so they will not be able to defend themselves. You just put 1,400 people's lives at risk. Lives at risk. For what? To be petty? To prove a point? Using political posturing? And when the chickens came home to roost, what happened? Now let's get on the macro level because we done seen from the top down. Now, for you to be able to have the inside job, and even if you were to give the order, people would have to comply with the order, right? Because even though this happened, let's show you evidence of this white supremacy that has infected, that we as black people and people that are like-minded like us have been calling this out. But as long as it affects black people, it doesn't matter, right? The crack epidemic doesn't affect America. Lock them up. Opioid crisis affects all of America, mainly the palm-colored people. Guess what happened? We can't send them to jail. We have to decriminalize the uses of controlled substances. Matter of fact, we can't wean them off because the opioids that we give is actually more addictive. The painkillers that we're giving for the pre-existing conditions of them working their blue-collar jobs to the bone is more addictive than any heroin or crack that's out there. Synthetic drugs will kill you faster, quicker, and way more addictive, and is extremely harder to kick and get off of. So you have to have a substitute. Hence the decriminalization, legalization of medical and recreational marijuana sweeping the United States worldwide, where a person of color or minority will get sipped up the river 5 or 6, 10 years ago, their whole life on for being on something which is medically proven that you cannot physically be addicted to. But that's neither here nor there. That's neither here nor there. But let's bring out these receipts. Let's bring out these receipts. These links are in the description below once again. Now that one you have to, now that last video that's not in the description, I'm gonna have to edit it. I'm gonna have to edit the description later and put it in there. But I'm gonna have to edit it, the description, and put it in there. But yes, even if you search and go look it up, you'll see it, right? Now, here's this article. Several Capitol police officers suspended over pro-Trump riot. Several U.S. Capitol police officers were suspended, and at least 10 more are under investigation over the deadly pro-Trump insurrection last week. Officials say Monday. Acting U.S. Capitol Police Chief Uganda Pittman. Now, she took over after the other police chief decided to step down. He stepped down. With suspensions occurred amid the internal probe, video and other evidence appears to show that some officers and officials violated department policies. Pittman did not provide additional about the inquiry or the specifics of how many people had been suspended. Earlier Monday, Rep. Tim Ryan, Democrat, Ohio, who chairs one of the committees that oversees the Capitol Police, told reporters that one of the suspended officers appeared to have taken a selfie with members of the mob. Another officer was suspended after seeing was wearing a Make America Great Again hat and directing people inside of the building. They were plants. They were plants. They were everywhere. You don't think that there was someone whispering in the president's ear telling him that we have people everywhere, we stand by you? You're not going to make an asinine decision like that without having someone embolden you so you can embolden the masses. And let's give a shout out to this sister. She is the Capitol Police Chief. Look at this sister right here in uniform. Do you know that being a Capitol Police officer is one of the highest ranking positions in the police force? Let's give a shout out to the initiative. You can find the initiative on grayregime.tv. And we have one of the co-founders of the initiative, Charles Faulkner, in the chat. Also, and he is an officer of the law. Now, another officer was suspended, right? Now, Ryan did not identify the officers during the Zoom call, but Ryan said he believed one officer had been arrested, but a spokesman later clarified that he misspoke. Ryan said that 10 to 15 more officers were being investigated, although he could not provide details about the extent of those investigations. The main point is that the Capitol Police are looking at everybody involved that could have potentially facilitated at a big event or a small. Capitol Police Chief Stephen Sudd announced his resignation over the events. 5 people died as resulting. A Capitol officer died. Another Capitol officer committed suicide. So he probably, I'm just saying, just speculating. Right? Now, we saw the video of when that woman got shot. You notice the officers that were standing in front with the Capitol Police, and then and he told them, brother, we just want to get there, brother. You want to go home, you want to make it home, brother. And they stepped to the side and let them get to the door. They didn't hold their ground. But I'm gonna tell you who did hold their ground. I'm gonna tell you who did stand their ground. I'm gonna tell you who did, in the face of the opposition and an angry mob, sat up there as a lone person to do the right thing. I'm going to show you somebody who did do it. Right? So I'm going to show you something, a guy that did do it, that sat up there and did what he was supposed to do in the face of all of this. Okay? Now, we all saw the video of that brother, or the officer, and he happens to be a black man. That officer. We saw this officer running up the steps by himself with no backup. Black Capitol Police officer hailed a hero for diverting pro-Trump mob from the Senate. Now, we saw this video of this officer holding his baton out, telling them to stand back. Now, if you don't understand what this photo is a picture of the chamber where the senators and the House of Representatives were being ushered away. And he kept their attention, being a decoy. A black police officer seen diverting a pro-Trump mob away from the Senate's entrance during the deadly attacks on the U.S. Capitol has been celebrated as a hero. Why do you think you see pictures of them coming from over the top, coming down over the top, instead of actually through the ground floor? The black police officer seen diverting the Trump mob away from the Senate entrance during the deadly attack has been celebrated as a hero. So this link, we're going to show the video because, we love videos. We love videos. Right? Dude's been arrested. That's the guy that was running up on the black officer. Right? Here it is. That's the officer. Look. Let's look at it. He's got his baton back. Look at him. He's trying to keep him back. Look how they're stepping around officers. Look, he's in the front and he keeps moving forward. Look at the officer. Look at him. Look at him. Now, right there, right? He's going up. Look how they chasing after the officer. Look, he's calling for backup. Look at this officer calling for backup. Look, right there. That right there is the entrance right there to the Senate chamber. You see how he looks away to see if it's clear? Because he was sitting down there. He, by himself, was sitting down there to divert the attention, to be a decoy. Look how he looked back to make sure it was clear. Right? Look at his body language right here. He even puts himself in between this guy and the door. This guy is looking directly at the cameraman. He is putting himself in between the door because he probably saw someone trying to escape. By him sending that radio message, by calling for backup, he's actually sending code to tell them they're on their way, they're coming through code. He's right. He pushes the guy back. You see how he looks back for a second. They're so concerned with the black guy that they're coming, right? He's backing up. He's keeping his eyes on the target. He backs up. Here they come. Now look at this. One black man by himself, backing up, looking. They stop. Why? Oh, where are these cowards at? Where did they come from? You sent the lone black man down there by himself to push back an angry mob, and now you're going to walk up all nice and cool? Look at him. You notice they stopped once the backup came. So you telling me this is an angry mob and you got one cop by himself. You were chasing down one cop, but now 1, 2, 3, 4. You telling them 4 cops can hold y'all at bay? Now you want to discuss and talk? Look at that. Now the 5th cop comes in the fray. Come on, man. You can't tell me this wasn't a setup. You can't tell me for no apparent reason from the top down this was a whole entire setup, and it got out of hand, and everybody's hands got caught in the trap. And the only person that's walking around laughing is the dude still sitting in office, Petty 4-5. They used the black guy as a decoy now because they didn't take him out. Now they got some explaining to do. The only person that sat up there. So you can't tell me black people ain't American. You can't sit up here and tell me black people ain't holding it down. We have a history that when the country falls on its neck, the strongest minority this country has ever said, ever ceased and looked at. Look at this I don't care what's going on between the relationships of black men and black women right now. Let's put that on the fence right now. This white man was up there pleading with other white people to protect the sanctity of the United States, where we had to fight for an extra 100 and some years to get some type of rights, to reinforce our constitutional right in 1965 after they assassinated our leaders, and we had to tear up the town, but we did not march on Washington. We did. After 400 years, every black person in America had the right to do what these white people did, but we still don't do it. And still in the face of that, you can't be as much as American as that right there. Who are the real cowards? Who should go home? This is our home because we built it. And stop playing with yourself if you don't see yourself as American. That black man is as American as you can see it right there. He did his civic duty while his white counterparts were slow to move and were slow to act. In that situation, stop playing with me. You want to be conservative? You want to be democratic? Nigga, I'm an American of anything, and I'll vote for whoever is in my best interest. And even if my best interests are not being met, I will go about the system. The very system that you say that you fought for, that your forefathers fought for, the Constitution and all of that. But you still sit up there and you basically go against the very system you built, but want to hold us to a moral and higher standard and playground like we are some thugs, some dogs. As bad as you treat us, we still hold ourselves to a higher standard. Them ain't black folk in there doing that. The white folk on white folk, and the black man had to stick his neck out to bring some morality and some longevity to it. I'm sorry. I just got taken over by the spirit of the ancestors real quick. Let me reel it in. But the proof is in the pudding right here. Right there. Right there. Right there. You can't. You can't. Let me bring the article back up because this is just egregious. This is just egregious. Following a Trump Stop the Steal rally, hundreds of enraged white supremacists. Thank you for calling them that finally. The QAnon, or I don't know how you pronounce this, conspiracy theorists and the neo-Nazis flooded the federal building, issuing threats to lawmakers and wreaking a path of destruction. The video clip showed an officer glancing at the entrance to the Senate chambers as the mob makes its way towards him up the stairs. He was later identified by CNN and other news outlets as a U.S. Capitol Police. USCP Officer Eugene Goodman. The cop then confronts the man leading the group of rioters. As the man looks towards the entrance to the Senate, Officer Goodman pushes him and appears to divert his attention. The officer continues to engage the rioters as he moves in the opposite direction. According to Mr. of the video, was shot at 2:14 p.m., a minute before the chambers were sealed. A minute before if this black man didn't do what he needed to do, they would have overran the chamber and got their hands on whoever they wanted to get their hands on. This black man by himself saved all of those senators and a House of Representatives lives. But when this black man take that uniform off, he'll be treated like just like anybody else of color, that is. Just realize how much a close call in the Senate. The black officer in the other direction and met the group of police in the back corridor outside of the Senate. Looking again at the video, I took of the mob storming the Senate. There's a moment when the lead rioter looks right at a second before continuing to follow the officer left away from the immediate entrance to the Senate. This happened at 2:14. Couldn't immediately return multiple requests for the comment for the Independent. After images of facing down the white mob on his own emerged, Democratic Congressman Dean Phillips tweeted, "With gratitude and reverence, I salute the particular heroism of black U.S. Capitol police officers like Officer Eugene Goodman, who stared the grotesque hatred directed in the eye on Wednesday and demonstrated to the world that Black lives matter." Whoa, damn. Whoa, damn. Whoa, damn. What happened to All Lives Matter? What happened to Blue Lives Matter? That's a black man he's a black man in a blue uniform. That's a double whammy, right? That's a double whammy. That's a double whammy. There's no excuse for that. No excuse. No excuse for that. The two officers that died were white. Come on now. If Blue Lives Matter, I need that same energy on the other side of the aisle with Dale and Bubba Ray. Yeah, I said it. Sorry, got triggered again. I'm sorry. Let me bring it back in. I'm sorry. Let me bring it back in. I'm sorry. They have congressmen out here. They got state representatives out here that have been in the news, that were at the riots. They got officers that were there emerging on the Capitol. They got a guy that won a gold medal in the Olympics that represented America that was there also. But this is also American. America is also patriotic, but America is also racist. They found bombs at the DNC. Let me show you how this is getting out of hand where they don't know what to do. They don't know what to do. And then the president trying to get an NFL coach a Medal of Freedom because he won a couple of Super Bowls. And this black man just said, come on. And I think Bill Belichick, for turning it down, at least he had a common sense, because he said, I am American first. And what happened at the Capitol is unexcusable. Thank you, Bill Belichick. For whatever reason you did it, you made the right decision. Sometimes we get wrapped up in why somebody do it instead of just they did it. And that's one of Trump's longtime homies. See, people don't understand what really being a friend is. Being a friend is holding you accountable. If I'm your real friend, if I really care about you, I'm going to hold you accountable before you get to the point of contention. Some of the best friends that I had in my life, we done fought like cats and dogs, even threw hands with each other to keep each other from making a wrong decision. Some friends I have left alone and they came back around and we done came to a point where we're cool again. And even in my when I was not thinking right and I was in my wrong, I had to go back and say, man, you was right. You actually saved me. I was angry at you. And you know what they told me? And I even told some of my friends this. I would rather you hate me and be angry at me of holding you accountable than the world that don't care about you holding you accountable. Because no one will beg you to be great, but they will hold you accountable sooner or later. Pipe bombs found at the DNC and the RNC buildings are viable. The law enforcement officials told CBS News on Saturday that the explosive devices found Wednesday at the headquarters of the Democratic National Committee and the Republican National Committee are viable. Although it's unclear how big they were or how much damage they could have done, the DNC and the RNC headquarters are located just blocks from the U.S. Capitol, which was under siege by pro-Trump mob on Wednesday. Finding the culprit who planted the pipe bombs, is top priority of the FBI, and all 56 field officers are involved in the investigation. There's 50 states, and there's a couple of U.S. territories. 56 field officers. They is on the move because they got what? They've been backed up by Congress, right? Now, the FBI said on Thursday that it is offering a $50,000 for information leading to the location, arrest, and conviction of whoever is responsible. According to the FBI, multiple law enforcement agencies received reports that explosives at around 1 p.m., roughly the time that the riots at the Capitol began escalating as supporters of Trump began breaching the barricade in front of the grounds. They were responding at the height of the attack, and we're thus stretched thin. The official said the FBI is aware of the chatter on Twitter about plans to attack the state capitol on January 17th and are monitoring this as possible disturbances on other dates. Now, hold on, wait a minute. So you're telling me that the FBI can't do anything without the backing of the government, but they can report it. They can report. We've all been in a corporate environment, working in a company where you find something, you report it to your supervisor, and they give you that conversation. And when you bring something to the supervisor and he looks around and he closes the door and he said, listen, let me explain something to you. I understand what you're saying, but we can't do anything. This is all above my pay grade in my head. So the best thing that I can ask you to do is to do as much as you can. I will try to do everything possible. That means that they don't care until something bad happens. And something bad has happened. Their lives are in jeopardy. Now we got a damn problem. Now, now, before we continue this, before I get on the latter half of this, because we are now at the 60-minute mark. I'd like to give a shout out to everybody that are in the chat. We got RVSOP, Charles Faulkner in the chat. Ori, we got our sister Vonda, Zero to Infinite here. Callie Jane, of course. Sharja Cursor, Hiatus Black. We got Neek in the chat. We also have JustaskChar stop by. And we had a viewer's review. Thank you for you coming by. Thank you, everybody, for showing up. But before we do this, we like, because we got bills to pay around here, right? So let's let me do this for 1 second. And let me do this for 1 second and bring this up here. Because we got bills to pay. We got bills. Got bills to pay. All right. So just give me a second here. All right.
Hi, this is Cheryl from the JustaskChar Vice Channel on YouTube. Join me every Friday night at 9:30 p.m. Central Standard Time for an open panel discussion. You'll find myself, Classic Ruby, and others giving our honest opinion, giving several examples, and problem solving. If you have an email for advice, you can send it to JustaskChar@gmail.com. Hope to see you soon.
All right. So tomorrow at 8 o'clock p.m. Eastern and 7 o'clock p.m. Central on CRBJ, Classic R&B Jams. The link is in the description. It will be on the beat segment with our esteemed brethren, our esteemed elder, DJMuziq, and Char Willie of the JustaskChar Advice channel. And stay tuned, don't leave. It's Classic Ruby and Char Willie with Keep the Beat. Very wonderful thing. There's a chat room, there's gifts. We always twerking in the chat room. It's a wonderful thing. But before I continue, we have an announcement. It is our esteemed sister Ori's birthday. Happy birthday to you. Wish you many more. And since it's going to be a 3-day weekend, because it's MLK Day on Monday, I hope that you enjoy your weekend as much as you possibly can, especially with this social distancing and all this other stuff going on. But to you, sister, happy birthday. So now, as we going to get into the back nine of this, right? Is that there's a lot of articles that I have here to verify and to back what I'm talking about. And those are the sources. Okay. And you can take things with a grain of salt. You can take a lot of things with a grain of salt, but you have to read things from different sources and connect the dots. Now, we heard from the left side of the aisle. Let's hear from the right side of the aisle, because I like to be fair and impartial when bringing you evidence. I don't like to bring it from one source, right? So, those are facts. So now, and we also had two people, two black people that did back Trump in his bid for trying to overthrow things, right? So now Trump himself, this is what he had to say. This is words out of his mouth. Okay? It's words out of his mouth. Okay? So the article is in the chat. Trump reportedly blamed Antifa people for Capitol siege, was told by GOP House leader, no, it was MAGA. President Trump and House Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy, Republican, California, had a tense 30-minute plus phone call Monday morning during which Trump ranted about election fraud and McCarthy cut him off saying, "Stop it, it's over. The election is over," citing a White House official and another source familiar with the call. Now, come on now. This is Trump's own administration, people backing up what's going on, what is being talked about. Right? Now, Trump also tried to deflect responsibility for his role in inciting the deadly siege on the U.S. Capitol last week, telling McCarthy Antifa people were responsible for the violence. McCarthy reported, shot back, "It's not Antifa, it's MAGA. I know, I was there. Conservative cable news and other media has tried to pin the blame for insurrection on leftist groups, Antifa especially, through there's clear and documented evidence that the violence was perpetrated by Trump supporters and conspiracy theorists and far-right militia groups." McCarthy also told his GOP caucus on Monday that there is indisputably no evidence that Antifa involvement in the Capitol siege, adding, as he tries to navigate how to bridge the factions within the party. McCarthy is treading carefully by telling members Trump is partially to blame for what happened without condemning him outright. McCarthy told House Republicans on a 2-hour call that Trump accepts some responsibility for the siege too, citing 4 GOP sources on the call. Trump has not publicly taken any responsibility for the assault, even though he urged the supporters to march to the Capitol and fight for him. Emotions are still running high in the conference, with many GOP members blaming McCarthy and his top lieutenant, Rep. Steve Salclose, representative of Louisiana, for going along with the 120 House Republicans who continued to challenge President-elect Joe Biden's win after the riots. Wow. The link to this in the description below is in the chat. So, how was the plan failed? What was the point of the plan? Did the plan succeed? The point of the plan was to get Mike Pence to do something that was unconstitutional. And if he did not do what he was told, his reckoning would have been the angry mob, right? Just like anything else, right? What we saw without the absence of a French flag and guillotines flying was that of what it was. For you to be able to do a coup, you have to have inside help. You have to have the backing of the military. Trump did not have the backing of the military. But neither did the congressional leaders, because the military stood all the way down. They didn't choose a side. They didn't come and save them in the 11th hour. Actually, the person that saved them in the 11th hour was that sole black police officer. That display of bravery, giving them a reprieve so they can escape while they get to a safe room, while putting his life on the line, deserves something, deserves a medal. This means that if they are removing these people out of these positions, and they will be clearing house, we, as the back-breaking minority, strongest foundation of the American infrastructure that the world has ever seen, we need to take our rightful place in these positions so these things won't happen, so we can secure not just things for ourselves, but for the nation. Because at first, you are an American citizen before anything. And you need to take accountability for your constitutional rights that your forefathers fought for, died for, built this country under the boot heels of white supremacy. If you really want to totally be free, you need to take the positions that is given to you. This whole don't go in the military, don't go into the police force, don't go in here. Well, guess what? Look what happens when you don't go into those places of government and those departments. No one's safe. Not even the people you think is in power. No one's safe. No one. So if you don't run and do your due diligence, or at least try to do your diligence, like our esteemed brother Cerulean says, you are derelict in your responsibility. To be American is to be pro-black in that American infrastructure because you are American. And what happened, that wasn't just an assault on a white person's America. That was an assault on a black person's America. It's just that white people are now taking notice that they're next. All right. Now, it's time to entertain y'all. I'm sorry. I did a lot of that. So now let's move on to something that's funny. All right. Well, it's not really funny, but it's entertaining, right? So let's move on. Okay. So we're going to talk now. We're going to talk now about something that was going on in the news. And the reason why I wanted to bring this up, right? Because there is a strong minority. There is a untouched minority right now. They wield ridiculous, unwielding power. It is being permeated. It is being boosted. It is being backed. And that is the people of the LGBTQ community. Yes, I'm calling y'all to the carpet right now because you are an American too. And since we're holding these white supremacists on the far right, and we're holding them accountable, y'all need to come over here and sit down next to me because I'm about to hold you accountable too. Have a seat. Since y'all don't like to hold each other accountable, since y'all like to always hold us accountable for stuff, since y'all want to be separate but didn't get the same rights as black people fought for 400 years and stuff like that, whatever you like to pick and choose, that's your business. That's what freedom is for. I have no problem in the capacities of you living your life how you see fit. But when you start affecting someone else's life, you need to hold your people accountable because sure enough, black people will hold each other accountable. White people are now holding white people accountable. Who's holding you accountable? Let's really get into it. So, remember there was news that Kim and Kanye West, they're talking about divorcing and stuff, right? And we get this every so often. Every time Kanye does something stupid, Kim saying she's leaving him and stuff like that. They do this seesaw thing. It's put in the news, whatever. We can get into the particulars of this, but I'm not a gossip channel. I'm just reporting the news, but there's a particular reason why I'm reporting the news. Okay? So, now, here's this crazy part, right? There was this rumor put out there that Kanye West and Jeffree Star, right? He's a makeup guy on YouTube, got famous, makes these $300 makeup brushes per brush that everybody's buying. Then he was in the news when a guy that was in the NBA player, he was a low-level guy, left his wife and they're dating or whatever. I don't know how that's working out now. I don't care, but it was in the news. But you're going to see where I'm going with this. You're going to see where I'm going with this, right? Because this is when you hold people accountable, right? The notorious influencer who started the Jeffree Star and Kanye West rumor says that she made the entire scandal up. So this chick right here, now this is Jeffree Star, this guy right here, or however way he wants to identify himself with. I'm not going to use a pronoun. Jeffree Star, right here, right? This person right here was not born a man. Okay, so he's a part of the LGBT community. He identifies as something else. He doesn't have a gender role. Kanye West, for what we know, because he was with Amber Rose and he's with Kim Kardashian, he does fashion. He is a musician, but he has strategically told everybody he's a heterosexual male, right? Now, if you're a heterosexual male and a person that tries to out you to be anything but that from the LGBT community, it's okay for them to make this accusation, right? Right? But this was a woman that said this is what happened. Now, this woman is famous for doing the toilet licking challenge on TikTok. She was on the airplane and she was licking toilets for views. And people took what she said and ran with it. Now Charlamagne the God gave her a donkey of the day, but I'm just saying, right? So let's read this. Eva Laus, the influencer known for her coronavirus challenge, toilet licking stunt. Come on now. Come on now, people. She licking toilets. How many of y'all wake up in the morning and say, you know what? I want to get famous. I want to get famous. Right? I really want to get famous. And you know what I want to get famous for? Licking toilets. Yes. I want to be known as the toilet liquor guy. The toilet liquor guy. Right? Okay. So, toilet licking stunt admitted that she made up the rumor that Kanye West and Jeffree Star were having an affair. The rumor circulated Wednesday morning, fueled by reports of Kim Kardashian and Kanye West divorce being imminent. Lau said in a TikTok post of a voice message she sent, there was literally not one bit of truth to anything I've said regarding the rumor. Laus, on an online personality famous for licking a toilet seat as part of a stunt coronavirus challenge, said that she made the entire scandal up, referencing a widespread rumor that Kanye West had cheated on Kim Kardashian with beauty guru Jeffree Star. As insider Kate Tambers reported, the rumor dominated social media feeds on Wednesday morning, just hours before the siege and the United States Capitol. It spread quickly online, due in part to reports that Kim Kardashian and West were moving towards a divorce. Right? Now, do you think that this is a coincidence that Kim was trying to divorce Kanye all of a sudden, and then this comes out right behind it? I think Kim believed this too. She's not really around him no more. He's in Wyoming. She's wherever she's at. Right? He has this big ranch in Wyoming. He's inviting people out. He's building all of this stuff. Right? He's a billionaire. He hits the Forbes list as a billionaire. She's doing whatever she's doing. And she really thinks this. Right? Because she's busy doing what she's doing. Right? Okay. I get you. Right? But now that's a lie. Now you start seeing the Kim not divorcing Kanye thing trickle down if you're looking into the news. Now, was this Jeffree Star's point? Star gave it plenty of fire by cheekily referencing it in social media posts at the time. So he didn't put out the fire to say, no, these reports are false. He kept it going by not denying it, but giving it a little smirky smirk. Now, since old girl done came out and probably she was threatened with legal action to say that she lied about it and she just wanted attention. Now, though, Laus claims that she fully created the rumor, saying in a voice memo that she reposted on TikTok that she made the entire scandal up. There's literally not one bit of truth to anything I've said. She said in a voice message, I just tricked the entire world into talking about me again because I was a lot of adrenaline and bored. So she's on drugs, making these things. You're listening to a chick that is taking antidepressants, and licking toilets. But okay, white women been lying on black people for years. We just saw the Soho Karen. We see it all the time. The thing that's pissing me off is that you people of the LGBTQ community for equal rights and to stand by, and black women and black people have been standing by you. Because your fight is just like our fight. So why ain't none of y'all getting together and holding Jeffree Star accountable? There's another article out there about y'all gays versus the corona, where y'all gallivanting off, having these goddamn parties. Now, there are other gay people in the community calling you out for it, of distancing. Just because you identify in another gender does not give you the right to not adhere to the same principles and standards of the heterosexual community that outnumber you 10 to goddamn 1. But then there's more, because there's another person that's been saying this, that she was talking to. An influencer claiming he had a secret rendezvous with Kanye West apologized, receiving a legal threat. Look at this guy. He's another one of the makeup dudes from the LGBTQ community. Beauty influencer Carl Corrigan has apologized for claiming that Kanye West bodyguard Steve Stanless arranged a meeting with him and the rapper, and claimed amid the flurry of bizarre, unfounded rumors about West cheating on Kim Kardashian West with YouTuber Jeffree Star, Connigan claimed that in a TikTok that Stanless contacted him a few months after he attended a party with Kanye. And he claimed the car was sent for him and he had to sign an NDA before meeting West at a hotel in November. So you just violated, if you did go, you just violated the NDA right there. That's grounds of legal reprisal on that. Stanless, who says he was a bodyguard for West just one time, called Connigan's claims false and defamatory. He proceeded to send a legal letter to Connigan demanding an apology. Beauty Influence has apologized for fanning the rumors of an affair with Kanye West. Implicated West bodyguard who claimed arranged a meeting with him. Connigan, who has nearly 350,000 TikTok followers, posted a video on Friday with alleged screenshots of the conversation between him and Stanless arranging the meeting up. His story came amid the flurry. So Connigan posted a follow-up video a day later where he went through an alleged conversation claiming that the one-time bodyguard had reached out to him a few months after he attended the party, and then both of them asked him to sign an NDA. He included a photo of his apparent confirmation that he was at the W Hotel in November where the meeting supposedly take place. On January 11th, posted a third TikTok with a cease and desist letter in the background from a law firm of Dimitri, I don't know how to say his last name, in an email to the insider. The law firm confirmed the authenticity of the letter. It says here, in order for me to stay out of court and not get sued, I have issued an apology to Mr. West and Miss Kim Kardashian West. Consent. So hi, Kim, if you're watching this, I'm sorry. I honestly did this for the simple fact that your husband voted for Trump and we simply can't have that clownery in America, so you're welcome. So you're welcome. So you're welcome. So you lied on this man because he voted for someone that you don't like. You're no different because you're destroying this man's life. You almost put this man's marriage into a point. Now, Kim, you got something explaining to do too. Because obviously you shouldn't have a problem with the LGBTQ community where your stepfather is a whole poster child for the LGBT community. So the point is, you was using any excuse you can to get public support to divorce Kanye so you can go forward in divorce proceedings. Now your plan failed because you must have had, I'm thinking you had something to do with it. So you get to sit over here with me in the failed Italian job corner. Go ahead. Go ahead. Sit over there in the corner. Sit over there in the corner. So where's the LGBTQ people holding your representatives accountable? The left ain't no better than the damn right. The difference is that the left, instead of using guns, they use their tongue to cut you down in the pen with their followers and waves of followers. You would think that America is just permeated with LGBTQ people, everybody. And if you're not on the train, then you're a homophobic. I don't got nothing against Muslims, but I'm not Muslim. I don't believe in it. I'm not a Hebrew. I'm not Hindu. I can sit there and have a conversation. I can sit there and have a conversation with a gay person, but I don't need to be laying down with no gay people to prove that I'm not homophobic. That would make me a homo, and I'm not that. What are we talking about here? How can I be held at a higher standard as a black heterosexual man than a white homosexual LGBT or whatever gender you account for? It's three people at fault. On this, Kanye does enough by himself to besmirch his character. He don't need no help. And the only reason why you shutting up is because you was threatened, because you ain't got the money to stand on your disrespect. At least don't listen. I don't like the white people that did what they did at the Capitol. I don't like them right-wing people, but at least they stood on their disrespect. They took their selfies. They walked out waving pictures. They was in the camera with their masks down. Because he voted for Trump. Or was it because he was a heterosexual black man in power? Which one is it? Because it looks really weird that you didn't do that to no white dudes. It looks really weird how many white dudes is in the fashion industry. Looks really weird. Kanye, if I was you, whoever introduced you to these people, they fired. They gone. They gone. Because these people have a history of foolishness. This dude, Jeffree Star's always in something. So the chick had to come out and say that she did. What if she never said it? What if she did? Your reputation is all you got. Money means nothing without reputation. Come on now, people. All right. All right. All right. Now, we're going to wrap it up soon. Thank you guys for coming along. We got 2 more articles to hit on. And I'll give my closing thoughts. Give my closing thoughts here. It's crazy. Be the first ones out there not holding people accountable. Your people out here ransacking people's livelihood with their mouth. With their mouth. Yeah, I said it. It's the truth. Hold them accountable. And there are people out there. There are people from that community that hold each other accountable. But y'all need to get these loud minority people in check, or you're going to have the same thing happening. Because y'all are actually bringing up the fear that people had from you in the beginning. If you don't hold them in check, everybody's going to hold you in check. No one's going to beg you to be great LGBTQ community, but the world will hold you accountable. Do it to the wrong person to see what happened. All that stuff Obama gave you in his 2 terms, it'll be rolled back real quick without even a second thought. Don't think for 1 second Mike Pence wouldn't have y'all in some CIA black site getting tortured to death. That's messed up. Just like somebody beating you up for choosing the way you want to live, not bothering somebody, is the same way it ain't cool for you to try to basically lie and say a man is a part of your community and he's in the closet to besmirch him, destroy his reputation, destroy his marriage. Kanye is a lot of things he need to work on. A lot of things was going on. And Kanye is too goddamn honest sometimes. Sometimes he need to shut up. But this ain't right. And y'all been doing it a lot. And y'all been attacking the reputation of our people. So I got to speak on y'all. I got to give y'all some pushback. Since y'all don't want to hold each other accountable. And I live in a country where those people are. I live in Japan where those people are, and they just live their lives. They don't have to do all that. Y'all like spoiled children hyped up on candy now because you got some type of power. You just wielding it. And then the second someone check you, you want to cry because you can't get the candy. You didn't want. The problem is when people sit up here and scream they want equal rights, you ain't been through enough to be screaming that much. You don't want equal rights. You want preference. You want power. And that's what you're doing. Just the words of this guy that you think is heterosexual, maybe homosexual, is enough to destroy a man's reputation. Why is that? If you want to be accepted, then hold each other accountable when you step out of line. Now, anyway, sorry. On to some better news. Mary J. Blige is living her best glam life. Now, this is what I like to end the show with, some goodness, right? New bikini photos, her 50th birthday. This is Mary J., 50 years old, y'all. She come a long way. Let's give this sister, she's glammed up right now. Let's give this sister a round of applause. Look at her right here. She's been through a lot. She's still standing. She's doing her best. 50 years old. This sister is half a century old. Black don't crack. Yeah, buddy. The link is in the description. Let's give Mary a round of applause. Looking right at 50, doing her thing. I don't know, Mary. Shoot, you might want to check your DMs. There's a lot of dudes might want to get into some entanglements. I think she got Jada beat. You know, Jada look good, but she petite. Mary got the stacks going. Mary got the stacks. Look at Mary. Look at Mary got the stacks. And she can sing. Oh, she can sing. She can sing, but Mary can't dance real well, though. Mary dancing ain't too good. Mary dancing ain't too good. But that's what I'm talking about. Go Mary. Go Mary. Black girl magic. Let's show that black girl magic. Jada Angel. You know what I'm saying? Look at it. Stunting 101. Let's give Mary. Look at it. Mary J. Blige, 50 years on this earth. She doing her thing. I ain't going to play this of Mary dancing. You know what I mean? We ain't going to do that to Mary. But look at her. Glowed up. 50 years old. She doing her thing. Let's give that sister a round of applause. Let's give Mary J. Blige a round of applause. Now, I like to go into what we would call how people can actually have a relationship, have a child, leave a relationship amicably, co-parent, and move on and not be dragged through the court system or doing some other crazy stuff. So have you. Okay? And this is our last story of the day. Okay. And when I saw this story, this was something, because you always want to leave on a high note. Okay. It's the last story of the day. And I appreciate you guys for being here, for hanging out with me and stuff. Okay. So singer Lenny Kravitz says he loved his ex-wife Lisa Bonet's husband, Jason Momoa. From the moment we met, here's a timeline of their friendship. These dudes are best friends. Now, Lenny Kravitz, we all know, married Lisa Bonet, used to be Denise on The Cosby Show and also on A Different World. And we all know that she got pregnant by Lenny Kravitz, which is Helen, the woman that played Helen off The Jeffersons. This is her son. He's half black, half Jewish, right? Okay. So with that being said is, if we remember, Lisa Bonet, she got pregnant by Lenny Kravitz. They got married. Bill Cosby didn't want her being pregnant on the Different World series because he started the A Different World sitcom for her to have her own little show and thing and whatever, right? So then that's when she went back to the Cosby Show, blah, 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 after she kind of disappeared for a while, had the baby. Her and Lenny Kravitz got married. Bill Cosby didn't like it, but, they got married, so he couldn't say nothing. Okay, so let's move forward. Lenny Kravitz and Jason Momoa have become close friends and even referred to each other as family in the recent years. Kravitz was married to actress Lisa Bonet from 1987 to 1993 and had a daughter, Zoe Kravitz, with her. Bonet remarried Monet remarried Momoa in 2017 and now shares 2 children, Lola Lolan and Dakota Wolf. Listen, black people, okay? You can name your kid blanket, comforter, sock, but you better be 6 figures or more. Do not name your kids stuff like this if you ain't got that type of money. They can do that. So don't get no ideas. To the people in the back on the short yellow bus, this one's for you. Don't name your kids that. All right? Okay. All right. Just wanted to know. All right, cool. All right. So their families have since blended together, and the men have consistently spoke highly of each other. Lenny Kravitz and Jason Momoa have proven that breakups don't necessarily lead to ill feelings. The 56-year-old musician got married to actress Lisa Bonet in 1987 and had a daughter, Zoe Kravitz, with her. Zoe looks just like Lisa. Looks just between Lisa and Bonet. She is very pretty, very beautiful woman, right? And was still young. Even though their marriage ended, Kravitz and Bonet remained friends and focused their attention on co-parenting their daughter, who is now 32-year-old actress. Years later, Bonet met Moa, who had a childhood crush on the high-fidelity actress at a jazz club. They began dating and tied the knot in 2017. Now the actors share 2 children, 13 and 11. While many people struggle watching their former partners move on, Kravitz said he immediately felt love from the 41-year-old Game of Thrones star when he got together with his ex-wife during 2020 interview with Men's Health. We just do it because that's what you do. You let love rule, right? He said, here's the timeline of Kravitz and Momoa's friendship. 2013, Kravitz said that they've created one big family, right? That's Momoa right there. That's his ex-wife right there. That's his daughter right there. Look at his daughter. Look at that. Right? Now, the musician discussed his previous marriage with Bonet and their blended family on the episode of Oprah Winfrey's Masterclass. Kravitz began to state that he and Bonet were incredibly deep in love and in a magical relationship before they divorced. She really helped bring out the best in me and inspired me, he said. He also explained that he now views his time with Bonet as a gift since she gave him his daughter Zoe. We had Zoe, which what I see now is what it's all about. It was really all about bringing this beautiful child into the planet and also sharing the love that we had. Though they divorced in 1993, Kravitz said that he and Bonet remained best friends, which is what they were before they got married. Since Bonet tied the knot with Momoa, the artist said that he considers them to be one big family. We're all together now. Her man, her kids, Zoe, me, we're all together. We're one big family, she said, adding, it's a beautiful and it shows you what can be done. December 2018, Moa gifted Zoe a bone skull ring. Gifted Kravitz a bone skull ring. Look at that. Look at that. Right? Black and white photo. He was at the Justice League thing for Dude. You know what I'm saying? They cool, right? But what don't you hear? Right? You see what I'm saying? Right? See, this is adults. You don't hear Lenny Kravitz online talking about what more do you want from me? You don't hear him screaming about child support. You didn't see her go to whatever because they were friends before. Things don't work out. People grow apart, but it was all about the child. At the end of the day, these are 2 black people that actually have money, that take care of their responsibility. She moved on, he moved on, but they are together raising a child because at the end of the day, forget your feelings. It's all about the child. And that is an example that should be pushed out there into the world. right there. Things don't always work out between adults, but we can move forward. We can move forward as a people. Thank you guys once again for showing up and showing out. Salute to everyone in the chat. Thank you guys. Please hit the like button. Share the stream if you will. I went over my time about 20 minutes. I hear the people knocking on my door coming to get me. I want to keep this 90 minutes or less, but we had so much to cover at such short time. The links are in the description. There are extra articles there that I did not cover, did not go over, but I wanted to give all the source material that I could in the time that I can. To all of you, have a lovely evening. Enjoy your evening. Stay safe. Salute to the nobility. Salute to the nation. Salute to the black nobility. Ebon Noblesse. No one will beg you to be great, but we sure will hold you accountable. Thank you all. And to my mods, you did a wonderful job. And to my guests that came in the chat, thank you once again for showing up. And good night.